Kaya lies face down in a barren desert under a crimson sky. The air shimmers with heat and skeletal plants dot the sandy landscape. Kaya groans, lifting his head slowly, sand sticking to his fur. He thinks to himself, I guess this isn't home. Again. Disoriented and wary, he takes in his surroundings. Kaya stands, shaking sand from his fur as he looks around. The desert stretches endlessly, jagged rocks casting eerie shadows. He narrows his eyes at the desolate surroundings, thinking, another portal, another mess. What's waiting for me here? Wary and uneasy, he prepares himself for whatever lies ahead. A jagged, glowing tower stands on the horizon, its pulses of light illuminating the dark sky. Kaya tilts his head slightly, his tail lowering as he studies it. He thinks, big and creepy, must be important. The scene feels ominous and foreboding as he contemplates his next move. Kaya begins walking across the sandy terrain, his paws sinking slightly with each step. He glances back at the direction he came from, the portal no longer visible, thinking to himself, no turning back now. Time to see what this world's about. He moves forward, determined but cautious. The sand behind Kaya ripples faintly, glowing patterns appearing and disappearing. Kaya doesn't notice as he continues forward, his focus on the tower. The mood is suspenseful, with a palpable tension building. A hooded figure materializes several feet ahead of Kaya, their face obscured. The air around them ripples unnaturally. Kaya stops abruptly, ears flattening as he lowers his stance defensively. Who are you? Another monster? He demands. The atmosphere is defensive and tense. The figure raises a hand, their voice calm but cryptic. Kaya keeps his distance, his fur bristling. This world isn't like yours. Its rules will define your survival, the hooded figure says. What rules? What are you talking about? Kaya responds, the mood thick with suspense and mystery. The ground shakes violently, glowing trails in the sand converging in front of Kaya. Kaya's ears perk up as he stumbles slightly, trying to keep his balance. Something's coming, he thinks, the tension in the air palpable. A massive centipede-like creature bursts from the sand, glowing energy markings running along its segmented body. Kaya leaps back, growling as the creature hisses and snaps its mandibles. Of course. It's never easy, Kaya mutters, the situation turning chaotic and dangerous. The hooded figure doesn't move, their tones steady and unshaken. They point toward the glowing patterns on the creature's body. This is your trial. Understand the energy, and you will prevail, the figure instructs calmly. Trial? Against that thing? Kaya exclaims, the ominous intensity of the moment sinking in. Kaya lunges at the creature, slashing at its armored body, but his claws barely make a dent. The creature swings its tail, sending Kaya rolling across the sand. Kaya thinks, this thing's built like a tank. Kaya crouches, watching the creature's movements as its markings pulse in a steady rhythm, his eyes narrow, focusing on the glowing lines. Kaya thinks, those markings, they're moving, are they its weak points? Kaya places a paw on the sand, sensing the vibrations of energy flowing around him and the creature. A faint glow surrounds his paw as the energy begins to resonate with him. Kaya thinks, this feels strange, like the whole world is alive. The centipede lunges again, snapping its mandibles inches from Kaya's face. Kaya rolls to the side, his movements sharper and more precise. All right, I think I'm getting the hang of this, he exclaims, the mood fast-paced and exhilarating. Kaya leaps onto the creature's back, clawing at the glowing lines with newfound precision. The creature screeches as his strikes hit their mark. Take that, Kaya shouts, fierce and triumphant. The creature thrashes wildly, its movements becoming erratic as the energy patterns flicker. Kaya presses his advantage, dodging its desperate attacks. Thinking to himself, he urges, almost there, just a little more. The mood is intense and focused. Kaya leaps high, delivering a decisive blow to the creature's head. The creature collapses, dissolving into glowing particles that scatter into the wind. Kaya, exhausted but victorious, mutters, stay down this time. The hooded figure steps closer, their tone calm and approving. They gesture toward the fading particles. You adapt quickly, traveler. But this was only the beginning, the hooded figure says. Kaya responds, her voice tinged with sarcasm. Great, looking forward to the next nightmare. The tower glows brighter, its pulses becoming faster and more rhythmic. Kaya watches it intently, his expression hardening. In his mind he thinks, that thing, it's calling to me. The mood is suspenseful and determined. The tower is now visibly closer, its jagged edges sharp against the red sky. The glowing pulses are brighter and faster, casting rhythmic shadows across the sand. Kaya walks steadily toward it, his body tense, with his ears flicking at every faint sound in the distance. Whatever's in there, it feels like it's alive, Kaya thinks to himself, the suspense and foreboding growing with each step. The glowing trails in the sand ripple and pulse as Kaya passes, almost as if they're alive and reacting to his presence. He stops momentarily, staring at the glowing patterns swirling briefly before fading. Even the ground feels aware. What is this place? Kaya wonders, the mysterious and unsettling atmosphere thickening around him. The hooded figure remains behind Kaya, still watching silently. Their presence feels heavy, as if they're evaluating him. Without turning, they speak in a calm, deep voice. The multiverse rewards those who adapt, and destroys those who cannot. Kaya, frustration evident in his voice, responds, "I don't need riddles, just answers." The mysterious and ominous mood hangs in the air, leaving more questions than answers. A gust of wind kicks up sand and glowing particles swirling around Kaya. The tower's light pierces through the storm in the distance. Kaya shields his face with a paw, crouching slightly as the wind howls. "This place isn't going to make it easy, is it?" he mutters, the tension in his voice palpable. As the storm settles slightly, faint shapes appear in the distance, twisted humanoid forms that seem to dissolve into the air when looked at directly. Kaya squints at them, growling softly. In his mind he wonders, are those people, or just another trick? The eerie and suspenseful atmosphere thickens around him. The figure's voice cuts through the silence, louder and more deliberate than before. The shapes in the distance vanish completely. The figure lifts a hand, as if gesturing toward the unseen forces surrounding the tower. "This world tests your resolve. But the true challenge lies ahead," the hooded figure declares. Kaya responds, "Ahead? You mean the tower?" his voice filled with a mix of foreboding and determination. Kaya turns his head slightly, addressing the hooded figure without fully looking back. His face shows determination despite the tension. He begins walking again, his paws pressing firmly into the glowing sand. "Whatever's in that tower, I'm not backing down." His mood is resolute and bold. The tower's glow intensifies with each pulse, as if responding to Kaya's approach. Lightning cracks behind it, illuminating the jagged spires. Kaya stops briefly, staring up at the ominous structure, his tail flicking. He thinks to himself, "It's like it knows I'm coming, almost like it's waiting." For a brief moment the sand beneath Kaya's paws begins to shimmer, showing distorted reflections of other worlds, lush jungles, fiery landscapes, and strange cities. Kaya stares in shock, his eyes wide as the visions vanish as quickly as they appeared. He exclaims, "What the, was that real?" The hooded figure starts to fade into the background, their voice echoing faintly as if carried by the wind. They raise a single finger pointing at the glowing tower. The hooded figure warns, "Prepare yourself, traveler. The multiverse doesn't forgive weakness." Kaya, thinking to himself, replies, "Weakness isn't my style." In a wide shot, Kaya walks toward the tower, now massive in the frame. The glowing pulses illuminate the barren landscape around him. His stride is firm and deliberate, the storm from earlier subsiding into an eerie stillness. Kaya thinks, "Whatever's in there, I'll face it, one step at a time."